Man, ladies and gentlemen, I have to admit, I got real curious about that whole D4vd server, and I did some digging, man. I did some digging and some more digging, and there's thousands and thousands upon thousands of messages, probably millions in this server. But I took it back to the day when Celeste Rivas' body was found. There are some individuals in this Discord that seem to be David's frontline soldiers. Just like how on YouTube I have a bunch of moderators who I fuck with, it's the same thing in his Discord server. He had his frontline soldiers seemingly trying to protect them by any means necessary. And this is before we knew Celeste was a girl. This is before we knew what age she was. This is before anything. And it seemed like a lot of these people knew more information than they're trying to let off now. Okay, so we're going to go back to September 8th, right? The day she was found. There's a few people I want to pay attention to, particularly S with 3 dots and a person named Ben. It almost feels as though these people are strategically placed here to keep David safe. It's almost like this is David's little safe haven of minors, right? And these are like the guards that protect them from the rest of the world. That's why he was so comfortable. They're talking about lock down the server, code red, the feds are in here, all types of shit. So it makes you wonder who the fuck was S and who the fuck was Ben. But anyways, let's go ahead and check this thing out. It's going to be an interesting one. All right, so as we go through this Discord conversation, I'm going to pay most of my attention to S and then the people who surround S, and then we'll go into Ben as well. So I want to start where they talk about David's lyrics, right? So the first thing S is seen saying is a response to someone saying, romantic homicide removed off streaming services. S responds, they finna use the lyrics for evidence. Somebody responds to that, says, I swear. Will says, I swear. Someone responds, I'm crying, bro. Somebody later on asks, does David have Reddit? Will says, no. And then someone drops in and they say, anyways, David wasn't that good if we're being for real. And this is where, anybody who starts to have like anti-David thoughts almost, the moderators try to snip it in the ass real quick. So the first person comes out saying, anyways, David wasn't that good if we're being for real. Then somebody else comes into the Reddit. They say there's a D4vd Reddit, but I don't know if it's official. Then Ben enters the conversation, right? And it's a response to someone saying they finna use the lyrics for evidence. Ben says, are you serious? People will be doing anything for views, someone responds. And then S comes in and posts something that somebody says on X. And he says, W mans. And it's somebody saying that David's being framed. And that's what the David supporters have been running with basically ever since this happened. I mean, we're all the way in, what are we, May? May is almost over. And they're still saying that somebody framed David. So S posts this into the Discord, clearly trying to sway opinion. Someone says, why are people trying to hide bodies in other people's cars? What the fuck? No way this man did anything. The story says the car was moved there for a few days and then the stench was noticed. But he's been touring far from California since early August. Anyways, stream romantic homicide. And that's just the response. So one thing I will say, some people are in denial. Like that person who posted that is probably just trying to make sense out of it. But it's the fact that S is going to continually pump this type of information into the chat. It just makes me feel like they know David a little bit more personally than we think. Let's keep going. Then we have Ben come back into the chat. He says, he ain't do nothing wrong though. I can't be exposing my Reddit. I'm hella goon subs. Oh, that's just some random person. We don't need to know what Benji's saying. Then S responds, y'all read the article before you guys talk about it. See, it's almost like he's policing. And every time S speaks, it's in full caps. And people actually listen to him. Well, let's continue. Ben comes into the conversation and he says, like, he's been touring since August and the car was there for a few days. So they're trying to make sense out of it. Ben comes back into the conversation saying, someone had to have framed them. Somebody responds, Ben has reached level 7. Okay, so that's just the server points. You know, if you communicate a lot in the server, you get points and shit. So that doesn't really mean anything. S responds, not just frame him, his friend group. He'll probably let them borrow. S continues, yeah, because he was in Chicago when they impounded the car to there. I told this guy to be careful who he hang out with. See, so he's clearly talking to David. This is why I feel like this person has been set here to keep everything in check. If the little underage whatever gets a little too out of control, you're gonna mute them, kick them out the server, keep things pushing. He says, I told this guy to be careful who he hangs out with. Ben says, what if it's his day one car? S responds, what do you mean, bro? Then Ben comes into the chat. He says, I'm onto something. Someone murdered him and then framed David. And then somebody comes back and says, or what if David killed someone? Ben responds, he's on tour though. That person responds to Ben. They say, you never know. Ben responds again, the only way that is possible is if someone put the remains in mid-tour so it doesn't raise sus. IDK though. And that's the little piece of information that they're failing to put in there. That dead body's been transported from the garage to the car to who knows where else. To that random place in Santa Barbara somewhere or something. That body's been all over the world, maybe. Who knows? They're over here saying that it's only been in there for a few days. No, David was holding on to that body for a while, not a few days. S comes back and they say, that's what I'm thinking, especially it's LA. A bunch of weird-ass people live in that area. And then S comes back around. He says, watch, someone going to make a theory about him doing some stuff to join those Hollywood cults. Then Will responds. They say, also, by the way, who's fitting a body in a Tesla frunk? Seems impossible since it was not big at all. Unbeknownst to them, David had chopped her up in seven separate pieces. That's why it fit. And then S continues to talk. He says, someone used his car on a Mr. Beast challenge. And now more and more people are starting to see the article and they're starting to spread it. In the Discord, it says Hollywood mystery, decomposing body found in pop star's impounded car. And the person says, I swear, bro, I was just online for a split second. Somebody responds, yo, I'm seeing that right now. Somebody responds again, car hasn't been there for weeks. And then Will says, a decomposing body and the car hasn't been there for weeks. And then S comes back in trying to police everybody. He says they finna use this server for evidence. No. This person responds saying it's not adding up. S responds to that same person saying, right, and he hasn't been touching in LA since August. I'm assuming he meant touring. Land says, especially the trunk of the car. The person responds, good point. So I guess everybody here is trying to say that David couldn't have done it because he's on tour. But it's funny that they're saying that when they have no idea what the timeline actually was. S responds, I'm putting this server on lockdown so they won't get any words from us for a documentary, Broken Heart. Land responds, I want to be interviewed. I dapped up David. Let me speak. And this is the problem, bro. This is what I'm telling you. There's so many people under the appropriate age that David had relationships with that is going to bury him. Like, even as time goes forward and he gets into trial and the evidence is revealed, trust me, there's going to be more minors involved. We're going to have Celeste as the main victim, and then we're going to have a whole bunch of side victims. Watch it. Ben responds, this got to be Cap, that zesty ass dude. And then Land says, I want to be interviewed. S responds, I'm going to say that I don't know David. I'm blaming them. And then Land says this person's full name, I'm assuming, is Safi. Land says, nah, Safi, lock the server before the feds get in here. Shit, they probably already in here. Fucking feds. And then EP says, at David, I'm sorry for leaking the Kali Uchi's feature early. Please don't come for me. Then they start saying, this is a fed. Ban him, Safi. And then S says, fed in disguise. So again, just the communication that these people are having back and forth to one another, I feel like I'm losing some brain cells. It's very difficult to read, so bear with me. But it's seeming like they're all kids, calling each other fed, asking David if he's okay and to forgive them for leaking certain images. Like it just all feels very juvenile and childish. I don't even know how he spent so much time in this Discord, because let's keep it real. There's nothing stimulating going on here. We're not having discussions about anything. We're just talking nonsense. But see, that's what David liked. He enjoyed that shit. He enjoyed that childish ass shit. He probably played Roblox on his side time too. He probably was a very avid Roblox player. So now we have another Ben, it seems like, coming into the conversation, and it says, I woke up and saw stuff on Twitter. Someone responds, David sold his soul to the devil. Ben responds, no, he didn't. S comes back to the conversation, I woke up finding out about it. Do you guys have a job? How are you guys just waking up, finding out about it, and staying online all day? You guys clearly don't have a fucking job. Ben comes out and says, tour is canceled. Someone says, I'm sure he'll be fine. Probably someone did a prank or something like that. So now we're running into the next day, the day after Celeste's body was found, right? We still don't know it's Celeste or anything, but ever since then, there's no David activity in the server. I don't think since here, David's going to tap into the regular chat or the group or the general chat or anything. It's over with, right? So from here on out, it's just going to be a whole bunch of fans talking. Now, the next day, someone says, nah, this is too random. What the fuck? Someone responds, wallahi. Continuing to go down, someone says, IDK getting the news report on the murder as a bit is unlikely. I don't know. So Ben says, IDK getting the news to report on a murder as a bit is unlikely. I don't know what the fuck he's trying to say, but he's saying the murder's unlikely for David to do that, right? S comes back into the conversation. This is the guy who got accused of homicide, by the way. And then they show a picture of David. This motherfucker looked like he'd kill anybody? Question mark. Oh, this motherfucker looked like he would kill anybody? Question mark. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, he's homeschooled. Strike one. You have an obsession with gore. Strike two. Your whole career is based off of supposed murder. That's strike three, bro. No. Yeah. I think you would kill somebody. Shit. The fuck you talking about? S comes back in. Nah, the timing is not right. I feel like someone is setting it up on his downfall. Why do I feel like I'm reading these wrong every single time? It says, nah, the time is not right. I feel like someone's setting it up on his downfall. And that's just how they decided to write it. So now they start posting pictures of David being a little Twinkie boy and, basically saying like, it's impossible for Mr. Twinkie boy David to do it. Look at him. He looks like a gay Playboy Cardi. But Playboy Cardi looks gay, so he looks gay squared almost, damn near. Because he does look like a gay Playboy Cardi. That's kind of funny. But anyways, folks, I just wanted to bring a little snippet to you guys. It seems like there's some particular characters in this server who are trying to save David's ass. Now, I wanted to go back and just see what they're talking about on the day of, when they found Celeste's body. But if you guys want to see some more of this server, just let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the hype button. We do have some more of Nicholas Cruz that we have to check out, so stay tuned for that. We'll probably do a live stream today. If not, you'll see a video a little bit later. But I just want to update you guys with David. It doesn't seem like anything's going to be happening for the next week or so, so I'll keep my eyes open. But until then, we are going to be moving on with some new topics that I think you guys are going to be interested in. Alex Murdaugh, you know what I mean? So stay tuned. I'll see y'all.